All right, so probably you can take a look here, which is about how we can write an essay about comparison and contrast. So actually, there are two different ways you can take a look. The very first way you can use will be block method. So basically, it will be the idea like you write the very first thing first, and then the next. OK，就是你讲完一个之后再去讲另外一个。那你在讲另外一个的时候，你可能就开始会去跟前面那个开始去做比较，做状况。那做那个对比的情况。那 another one will be point by point， 那就是你一个一个的去比较，所以就是可能比方说你讲某一个重点，然后两个东西一起做比较，然后再讲第二个重点，两个东西一起做比较。那基本上这两种方式就看你到时候写作文想用哪一种方式去写，会觉得比较 probably you feel more comfortable with, and you can use the way you like anyway. And in a video clip of how we can use some words to kind of make our comparison or try to make our writing clear. There'll be some transitional words or some phrases you can use when you want to write something about comparison and contrast. Like for the words for similarity, you can use the word like, also in the same way, or just as, similarly, or likewise. And you want to show the difference, probably here are some of the words you can use like but, however, unlike, in contrast, on the other hand, and on contrary. So there will be some of the words you can use as you just watched from the video clip. And also we have been talking about these words in our English classes in the previous semester as well. So we'll just move forward a little bit. So let's take a look at one example or one sample writing we had here. All right. So probably we can also invite someone to read through the passage or to read the passage for us. So let's invite someone to read this one, the very first paragraph. Let's have like Jennifer, would you read the first paragraph? There are a lot of differences.
There are a lot of differences between supermarkets and traditional markets. Supermarkets are usually considered to be a much organized and clean place for shopping. The foods and all of the things lines the shelves, and everything falls into the
Correspondent categories.
This makes it much easier for people to find what they need. On the other hand, traditional markets are much noisier and dirty compared with supermarkets, though having some disadvantages. Traditional markets welcome those who enjoy bargaining with vendors for a better price.
All right, then let's have Vivian. Could you read the second paragraph?
Personally, I prefer supermarkets mainly because the supermarkets are more convenient and clean, though the price in supermarkets is sometimes higher than that in traditional markets. The promise of the safety of food is more important than price from my point of view. Furthermore, the well-organized supermarkets helps me save more time when I go shopping. And the other reason that I prefer supermarkets is the smell. Compared with supermarkets, traditional markets always have a stinky odor, which really drives me crazy.
All right, so we can take a close look at this passage together. So as you can see here, the writing topic is about supermarket versus traditional markets. 所以第一段它基本上就是比较 supermarkets 跟 traditional markets 它们彼此之间的差异是什么。然后第二段你就要选择说你要去说明、去解释你比较喜欢哪一个。所以它基本上是两个段落，就跟我们大考的作文的那个形式还蛮类似的。所以第一段去描述超市跟传统市场的差别，第二段去选择说你到底是喜欢哪一个。那我们可以看看这个文章，它其实用一些 transitional word 去告诉你说，它的第一个比较是什么，第二个比较是什么。比方说，你看它一开始它用的是 supermarkets， 那中间这边如果没有看到的话，就是一个 on the other hand，OK， 然后开始讲那个 traditional markets。第二段一开始它用 personally 跟你讲说这边是我的看法，然后呢，比方说接下来有那个 though though the price in supermarket or furthermore， 然后呢等等去讲说它的原因一个一个是什么，然后最后再去做一个就是再去两个去做比较，然后到最后他去选择出来它到底是哪一个。可是这个 writing 其实有一些部分我们还是没有办，就是它还是有 there are still some room we can try to make this writing better。那我们可以怎样可以把这个文章改得更好？其实你看它的文章，其实它的内容 detail 已经很完整了，可是它其实就是少了一些东西，所以感觉文章有点没有那么这么的 well organized。And we can take a look to see how we can try to make this writing better, alright? 好，所以大概就是会改成这个样子。比方说，他一开始是说 there are a lot of differences between supermarkets and traditional markets。所以他一开始先去讲 supermarket 是怎么样的，然后再来去讲 traditional market 是怎么样，所以它是两个部分去分开写的。所以他说 like supermarkets are usually considered to be a much organized and clean place for shopping， 所以他觉得这个地方是比较 organized and clean。And the food and all the things lines the shelves and everything falls into the corresponding categories, right? And then this makes it much easier for people to find what they need. Alright, so 第一个部分它就是基本上在黄色部分它大概有几个重点，第一个是 much organized 跟 clean， 然后 easier for people。Alright， 所以大概有这三个形容词去讲，这个 supermarket 是怎么样的。然后接下来的 transitional word 就出来，开始想说，我要讲另外一个东西咯，所以这个时候我们就是要一个 transitional words 或 transitional phrase 去告诉你的读者说，我接下来要讲别的了。所以 that's why I use the word like on the other hand, traditional markets are much noisier and dirty compared with supermarkets。我开始，因为他前面已经讲过 supermarket 了，所以他在讲第二个点的时候，他基本上就会回过头去跟第一个他讲过的东西开始做比较。所以本来是 clean， 那这边就有 dirty， 然后就是比较 easier， 然后这边可能就会是他这边用的，反正就开始去做两个，它是比较 noisier and dirty compared with supermarket， 去跟它做比较的话。So here it says, though having some disadvantages, traditional market welcome those who enjoy bargaining with vendors for a better price。那基本上觉得这边可能唯一的一个优点，它的点的话呢，就可能是因为价格可能会比较便宜一点点 ，alright， 所以这边大概就是它的重点。接下来第二段开始讲说 personally， 所以这边就是他第二段 topic sentence， 他就很明显跟你讲说，我到底是喜欢哪一个，所以你就记得第二段 topic sentence 一定要写得很清楚，你到底喜欢的原因是什么。所以比方说 personally, I prefer supermarkets mainly because the supermarkets are more convenient and clean。基本上它就是跟，回过头来看一下，所以它其实一开始它本来就已经有很清楚就讲说 personally。I prefer supermarkets mainly because the supermarkets are more convenient and clean。所以接下来他就会去针对 convenient 跟 clean 这两个部分去解释为什么它是比较 more convenient and clean。那一开始 though 这个一个转折语气，他先把这个比较不重要的东西先把它讲掉，因为他重点是要讲后面 convenient 跟 clean。所以第一个跟 price 有关，他觉得这个不是他最主要的重点，所以他在一开始就先把它解决掉。所以 though the price in supermarkets is sometimes higher than that in traditional markets, the promise of the safety of food is more important than price from my point of view。所以他一开始就把 price 这件事情先把它解决掉了，重点要去讲他一直在讲的 organize 跟 clean 这两件事情，也就是 convenient 跟 clean 这两件事情去做说明。所以 furthermore, the well-organized supermarket helps me save more time when I go shopping。Besides, the other reason that I prefer supermarket is the smell。好，那这边一开始如果你有记得的话，它原本的文章是用 and 这个连接词，可是如果你刚刚有看那个之前我们看到那些影片的话，你们其实有记得就是说，其实像澳洲学生他们也是一样，他们就很喜欢跟你们一样，就喜欢用这种 so and 去做开头。可是 in terms of academic writing， 就是你在比较正式的英文作文的话，基本上我们不会用这些 and so 去做开头，我们就是要用那些transitional words like besides。所以这边把它改成 besides。The other reason that I prefer supermarket is the smell。所以刚才讲 它干不干净，或者是就这个应该是比较跟 clean 有没有关系的部分。Compared with supermarkets, traditional markets always have a stinky odor, which really drives me crazy. 好，他就觉得它很糟糕这样，所以环境就很不好。那其实你看他原本的文章写到这边就结束了，那其实它就是少了一个所谓的 concluding sentence， 所以你就会觉得它好像有头没尾的。所以这边呢，你就可以去思考一下，你如果再加一个 concluding sentence 的话，你要怎么去把它写得更完整？那一样要跟大家讲说，哎，这边是我的 conclusion 哦，有一些 transitional words 是你可以用，比方说我们之前看到的那个文章是 in conclusion， 或者之前我们在英文课其实有提到很多类似的用字，比方说 in brief、in short、to summarize、to sum up， 这些字都是可以提醒你的读者说，哎，接下来这边我要做总结，这边是我的结论了，所以你就可以加一句 concluding sentence like。To sum up, supermarkets are better than traditional market for 或是 because of what， 去把你第一个 topic sentence 再去稍微去 paraphrase 一下，甚至去 highlight 它的重点是什么，这样的文章的话就会比较完整一点点。所以刚刚你看那个文章内容，基本上它其实蛮完整、蛮清楚的，可是因为它就是少了一些 transitional words， 然后又少了一个 concluding sentence， 所以感觉好像结尾没有结得很漂亮。那其实就是把这些 transitional words 把它放好，然后你的 topic sentence 跟 concluding sentence 写清楚的话，那整篇文章看起来就会比较清楚 ，and also will be more well organized. Right? So that's the very first method you can use. 那如果你想要 point by point 做比较的话，那类似的这个文章要怎么写呢？所以另外一个同学的写法是这个样子的。好，我们邀请个同学来念一下这个段落。So let's have 善云 would you read the first paragraph? Supermarkets.
Supermarkets and traditional markets are different in many ways. Traditional markets are usually open in the morning, and most of the better meat and vegetables would be gone before noon. Supermarkets, on the other hand, provide their customers with a comfortable place to shop and have an immense count of everything. In a supermarket, you can only find extras, while in traditional markets, every vendor would call out to you, talking very well, making suggestions and recommendations.
Right? And then for second paragraph, let's have Yuxiang, would you read the second paragraph between the two?
Between the two, I prefer supermarkets. In traditional markets, you will see rotten cabbage leaves on the ground or banana peels lying in the gutter. But if you are in a supermarket, you will never see those things. The floor is clean, the shelves are spotless, and you won't have to stand the stench of stale meat or newly gluten fish. I also prefer a quieter place to shop. In traditional markets, the vendors would be shouting at the customers. The customers would shout back, and the fish vendor would holler at the meat vendor, who, in turn, would shout to the man selling the tofu. All the noise, plus the hot sun overhead and the mixed odors of all the different food, makes me uncomfortable. This is why I prefer supermarket to traditional market.
All right, lovely. So we can take a look at this one together as well to see probably there are some ways we can also try to make this writing better, even though they all have the details here, right? So we can take a look at this one. So basically for this writing, as you can see here, it says supermarkets and traditional markets are different in many ways. And then it says traditional markets are usually open in the morning, and most of the better meat and vegetables will be gone before noon. 所以他一开始先讲 traditional market 是怎么样的。然后呢 supermarkets on the other hand provide their customers with a comfortable place to shop and have unlimited amounts of everything. 所以这个它就是 point by point 他先把第一个重点是说，他这边第一个重点是讲那个 food 那些食物或者是那些贩卖的商品是怎么样，所以他一开始就讲，就食物这一块，贩卖的商品这一块 ，traditional market will do what kind of things or do that in certain kind of way， 然后 supermarket 它是怎么样子的。接下来第二个点是怎么去付钱的，所以就又回过头来说 ，in a supermarket you can only find cashiers, while in traditional markets, every vendor will call out to you, hawking their wares, making suggestions and recommendations。所以基本上在超市你就是只能找那个结账员结账就结束了。那可是，在传统市场可能那些摊贩啊会跟你给你建议，他会多买一点啊，或者多买什么东西啊，或者是个 hawking their wares， 去可能要价钱算多少等等之类的。好，那这个第一段它就是去把它做描述。那讲完之后，去比较彼此之间的差异之后，第二段开始要讲说他比较喜欢哪一个。所以你也可以很清楚的知道，他就说 Between the two, I prefer supermarkets because of the comfortable shopping environment。那这个斜线的部分是我大概有稍微去改它的部分。你可以本来看这个句子，它本来是说 Between the two, I prefer supermarkets。那其实这样的 topic sentence 来看起来的话，其实比较不好，因为它并没有讲，就是没有 topic sentence 并没有跟大家讲说我接下来要讲的重点是什么，它只是说我比较喜欢 supermarkets。所以呢，其实你可以在句后面加个原因说，到底是什么样的原因 that can make you prefer supermarkets？ 所以我这边就帮他讲说 because of their comfortable shopping environment， 我就大概去做这个解释。那接下来他就在开始解释为什么他的 shopping environment is more comfortable。Or why the shopping environment in supermarkets is better than the ones of the traditional markets. 所以他开始在讲 In traditional markets, you will see rotten cabbage leaves on the ground or banana peels lying in the gutter. But if you are in a supermarket, you will never see those things. 所以他就两个东西 point by point 一起讲这样。Now the floor is clean, the shelves are spotless, and you won't have to stand the stench of stale meat or newly gutted fish。 好，这是他第一个点。第二个点 I also prefer a quieter place to shop。 他比较喜欢安静的地方。那其实这两个 quieter 跟 clean 其实都在讲说他的 shopping environment is more comfortable。 那他还解释讲说 In traditional markets, the vendors would be shouting at the customers. The customer will shout back and the fish vendor will holler at the meat vendor, who in turn will shout out to the。 反正这边就在讲大家就是喊来喊去叫来叫去，所以整个市场就是很吵。所以说 all the noise plus the hot sun overhead and the mixed odors of all the different food makes me uncomfortable。 所以在这边购物是比较不舒服的。那一样你可以回过头去看他原本的文章这边，他只是说 This is why I prefer supermarkets to traditional markets。一样，他的那个 topic sentence 一样，他就是这个写，所以他的那个 concluding sentence 那就有点是 paraphrase。重点还是说我比较喜欢这一个，可是，一样他这边也是没有用一个到底是因为什么原因去把它中间的 supporting details 或 supporting sentences 把它做一个小小的总结。所以呢，我这边你们就可以再去想一下说，如果他这样写完的话 ，This is why I prefer supermarket to traditional market because， 你后面可以去再补充说你到底是因为什么原因。或者你可以用 since 等等，或者是 due to 或者是 because 等等的方式去把你原本应该要讲到的原因跟你上面 supporting details 所应该要讲到的重点应该都要讲出来。那这几次看同学们一直在改那个 topic sentence， 其实你们大概都已经有抓到那个重点了，有可能会是比较像这个学生的这个写法，就只是把你要讲的重点讲出来，并没有后面再短短的几个 phrase 去把你要讲的这些 supporting detail 做一个小小的一个 overview， 或者做一个小小的一个 summary， 那就有点可惜。那如果你是觉得这样去写的话，你觉得把它并在一句话，你觉得这个 writing skill 或这个 writing techniques 对你来讲太难的话，其实你就可以把它分段。可是记得一定要把它写出来。比方说 Between the two, I prefer supermarkets， 句号，然后 To me, the shopping environment is more comfortable. So that， 然后等等的，然后接下来去讲说它怎样的 comfortable， 所以再去分了 first, second, third， 那么你就说明也是可以。那如果你有比较你的 writing skills， 或者你觉得你可以有一些手法，让你的 sentence 更 concise， 然后就是短短的句子，然后透过几个 phrases， 就会把所有的重点都讲到的话，那这样就会更好一些。那就是记得你让你的 topic sentence 一定要把你要接下来中间的这个 body 这个 supporting details 或者是说 supporting sentences 的重点一定要提到不是只是一开始我只是 prefer supermarkets。那有些同学可能就是连 topic sentence 都没办法写成清楚，比方说有些同学可能就如果是这个文章可能就会写说supermarkets and traditional markets so all have their own advantages and disadvantages, so we should think about how we should go or where we should go or how we should choose which one to go 等等之类的。那其实也还是讲得很模糊，也不知道你到底是想要去什么地方所以记得 topic sentence 如果他要求你去写出你的看法或者要你做选择的时候，你就是要把你的选择讲出来，跟因为什么样的原因一定要讲清楚，不要那个模棱两可，到底是看不出来你到底是选择哪一个。所以记得就是刚刚的影片其实有讲到，你的 good English 其实并不是说你把句子写得多复杂或用字多复杂，尤其在第二段来讲，重点就是要 clear， 就是你要很清楚的表达你的看法是什么，你的原因是什么，你的例子是什么，然后你的结论是什么，就是 intro body conclusion 这三个段落一定要写得很清楚，让你的读者很知道就是说要去讲什么，这样你想要讲什么那其实如果最后这句话的话，他说 This is why I prefer supermarkets to traditional market， 其实在这边你前面也可以再加一个转折语气，让大家知道说好，这边就是我的结论了。所以你也可以说 To sum up, to summarize, This is why I prefer supermarket to traditional market since 那读者就会更清楚的知道这边开始就是结论了那不然的话，其实看到 This is why I prefer supermarket， 我也大概知道这边会是你的结论，只是你找一个 transitional words 去更清楚的提出来说这边就是我的结论句。那尤其是如果你的结论句是没办法用一句话就写完的，你可能要分成2-3句去写的话，你少那个 transitional words like inclusion， 那我就会很难判别说你最后这边到底从哪一句开始就是你的结论那如果除非有办法很精确的像他这样一句话就解决的话，那我可能就是直接看最后一句就知道是你的结论。可是如果没办法的话，你可能要分1句、2句、3句去写的话 ，in conclusion, to sum up, to summarize 这些 transitional words 就变得非常的重要。因为其实你就是告诉读者跟阅卷老师讲说，这边就是我的结论了所以这为什么会一直强调是说，如果你今天的写作的技巧没办法很精确、很到位的一句话，把所有东西都把它讲清楚的话，那你就是要透过这些 transitional words 的方式去告诉阅卷老师或者是你的读者，你这个部分要讲什么，接下来要讲什么，跟你的结论是什么所以就是有不同的方式可以去让你做写作的一个呈现的一个，就看你要 it depends on how you want to show your writing and it also depends on your writing style anyway, right? So if you had no more question, probably we can stop here and we'll continue to talk about another section tomorrow, right? So if you have no more question, you are free to go.